Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. My name is Reuben, joined here today with Aaron, and we are back to review Severance, Season 2, Episode 5. Yeah, that's correct, Episode 5, Trojan's Horse. I thought maybe we were on 4. Happy Valentine's Day to all the lovers out there, and happy Valentine's Day to you too, Aaron. I love you.
Thank you. Been waiting for you to say that for years.
Well, yeah, not to get you all flustered to start this review, but I hope you can focus. And for all you listening at home, you can listen to this wherever you get your podcasts across all podcasting platforms. And if you want to hear us talk about the Super Bowl, halftime, politics, sports, pop culture, go subscribe to our Patreon because that's where we talk about those topics on podcasts. Not here on the main channel because, we don't want people showing up with pitchforks. And follow us on social media at NerdSoup, at Beau Soup, at NerdSoupMonkey. We put up stories on Instagram. We tweet out the tweeters. And Blue Sky, I'm on Blue Sky too, but I forget what the whole thing is just too long for me to plug. So you're standing firm, huh? You're not coming over?
What, Blue Sky?
You're going down with the ship.
Yeah.
That's admirable.
I've tried Threads for like a week. I'm like, yo, this shit sucks. I'll just get notifications from Threads, and it's just lies.
That's all Threads do, is they eat hot chip and lie.
No, it was just like Kevin Durant got traded, and I'm like, oh, shit. And he just didn't get traded. Thanks, Mark Zuckerberg. Of all the bad things he's done, it's got to be close to the top. Yeah.
All right, let's get into today's episode, Trojan's Horse. We were all wondering what would be the Trojan's Horse. Well, it kind of was Heli, or Helena, and now it's looking like Ricken. Ricken thinks that he can kind of sneak in some messaging in his propaganda that he's writing for Lumen. Short scene, but I thought that was a tense moment. But overall, the episode felt like a bit of a breather because we've gotten so much that episode 1 feels like it came out years ago. And that's the mark of a great season, when there's so much happening. Every episode is so eventful. And I think this one wasn't as much, but I think it's preparing us for what are going to be, the back half of this season, a race against the clock, because they've put this idea in our heads now that reintegration isn't as simple as one procedure. It's going to take time, but Cold Harbor is at 85%. So the idea now is, which one happens first? Does Cold Harbor happen before Mark could be fully integrated and possibly save his wife from whatever the fuck they're doing down in that basement where that elevator leads to? So I thought it was, like I said, a bit less eventful than the first 4 episodes, but every good season needs that. Now, if this is a trend that continues for the rest of the season, I doubt it will. That's a different story. But overall, I thought this was another good episode.
Yeah, definitely more a solid episode. I think, especially leaving off of last week, kind of recalibrate a little bit now that all the craziness has happened. Irving is gone. They found out Heli is Helena. So seeing the aftermath, and also, right, because in episode 1, we saw everybody kind of react to what happened at the season finale. Well, with Heli, we haven't really gotten that yet because it was Helena. So this is the first time we've actually really seen Heli this whole season. So seeing how she kind of reacts to what has happened, kind of thrown into it. She didn't get the whole, she never got to see.
She never got the kindness tutorial.
She has no idea about the new snacks in the vending machine, the pineapple bobbing.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Yeah. So
jerky.
If Milchick had a heart, he would take her out to the side and be like, here, watch this little video. You're going to love this.
Like, shit's about to get really tough moving forward, but this is how it was. It's unfortunate you missed it. It was a great time.
Yeah, the past couple of weeks have been a fucking blast.
Yeah, no, it's been like the best it's ever been here, unfortunately for you.
They had meat. You don't even know what that is. Hell, they almost even had a marshmallow. Hell, you would have loved it.
And you got to do it.
But we kind of talked about that a little bit last week, where she feels, what's the right word?
Violated,
yeah. That her Audi used her body and pretended to be her and she doesn't even know to the full extent, she doesn't know what happened in the tent. By the way, before, that's just one thing that stuck in my mind. Milchick going into the elevator with Mark, Milchick shouldn't be allowed to curse.
Did you tell her that you fucked her Audi at the Orpo? They've
been saving that, huh?
Yeah,
it really hits different.
Did you tell her that you fucked her Audi? I was like, geez, Milchick. It's a family show.
That's really funny, dude. That kind of reminds me of BoJack, where they would always save the fuck for a very important moment when BoJack would finally be cursed out. They'd be like, fuck you, BoJack. And I didn't even kind of put that together, that Milchick, up until this point, has been very polite and respectful, even though, you know, he can be a monster. But yeah, that it hits like a knife at that point. Even Mark, because the tone he's been taking with Milchick has been very disrespectful. And I think in that elevator is kind of where it reached its height of disrespect. Where he was calling out the bullshit Gazette, and you know, he just has no time for this man. And Milchick kind of reset the board there.
Yeah, because even Dylan was talking back, so he needs to take back control here. You think Dylan, when his elevator switched and his Audi came alive, was like, why am I fucking scared, but like also a little hard?
It's just becoming more and more like, even them telling Mark, oh, your innie fell off a rope, and Devin's like, that sounds fake. It's funny that Mark Scout never questions it either. He could, like, his arms could be chopped off and they'd be like, oh, stapler, the stapler incident. He'd be like, oh, whatever.
As long as he gets that gift card.
He's like, am I going to the VIP section? And just pour the bottles down my throat. I don't need hands. Look, Ma.
But yeah, a very interesting episode for Milchick as a whole, because he has that conversation with Nat, and it's like, we kind of, saw that look they gave when he was given the paintings, and that's something that's still bothering him. And as much as he tries to buy in and gets upset when the innies kind of take everything as a joke, he's committed, but it also, there's a sense that he is not respected or looked upon the same way as maybe some of his peers were. And that's puts him in this weird position where the performance review comes out and, he is using big words. I love how Miss Wong was just fucking looking for anything to just big words, the paper clips, and obviously some of the failures, especially on the outdoor retreat. But
Milchick is in his Paul George era on the Sixers. He can't do anything right.
Yeah, but it seems like he's in a position where, like, the more maybe he gets criticized rather than causing there is a bit of disillusionment, but he'd rather fight through in a way that's more with an iron fist to kind of get it right, because he wants the approval rather than being like, no, fuck this, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah, he's fighting his own battle here. And I found it interesting that the reforms he enacted were his own ideas. That didn't come from up top, because they criticized those reforms, that you tried kindness. And the line that they use, Drummond's line, is that you need to treat them as they are. So essentially treat them like cattle. You need to be the shepherd.
There's a lot of any discrimination in this episode, especially Helena saying they're animals. And it seems like even if there was a crack a little bit when she was watching her Audi innie be free, and maybe that stuff she was saying to Mark in the tent was the truth. But, try to murder me once, shame on me. Try to murder me twice, we're taking all your privileges away. You're not getting a hall pass.
Now watch this drive.
So it seems she's full back on, these are not even people. So let's tighten the ship a little bit here.
Yeah, even, I said Milchick was fighting his own battle, and a lot of these characters are, because I don't think that's over for Helena. I think it's she's back with the Audis, so she wants to stay in the good graces of Drummond, Natalie, the board, her father. So she's going to tell them what they want to hear. But I don't think it's over for Helena's kind of struggle with her role and all of this. And same thing with Milchick. And the more I think about this episode, the better it gets. Because even that scene that he has with Natalie, where once again he's pushing her on the portraits. How did you feel when you got them? And it's the first time Natalie doesn't play that role of smiling, obsequious corporate assistant. She doesn't give him a response, but just her face not changing, not putting on that proper smile that she's been doing for these first two seasons. I think that's very telling. That it's not just Milchick, that there could be a growing disillusionment with Natalie as well, and possibly Cobell. So I think those are sort of the three options we have here of who's going to assist the innies. And even though Milchick is tightening the leash and he does get up and personal with Mark, I don't think that's over either. I think that there are still many ways that Lumen could push Milchick to helping the innies, because of how inappropriate and how ridiculous they are. Even Drummond telling Helena that you need to go back in and work on the severed floor because the work is mysterious. So they're all bought in with the propaganda, and I think that's not stopping anytime soon. So it's going to be interesting to see where that leads Milchick personally. And like you said, I do think he wants to strive for that acceptance to prove that he can do it, but there might be a breaking point.
Do you think Natalie's Egan had like titties?
That's interesting. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, if they do, it's Natalie, but it's a bit of a gender swap.
Yeah, like yesified Egan.
Well, now I'm really interested in that. Would be funny too if Milchick isn't. He just really wants to see them. He's just really curious how they did it. It's not about being offended whatsoever. It's just artistic curiosity. Was yours better? Was yours hotter than mine?
But it is interesting now because when they first decided to bring Mark back, you know, it was kind of assumed that he was the only person for the job. That's why you take the risk in bringing him back after what happened at the end of season 1, 85% of Cold Harbor. And the way he was talking to Milchick, like, this is a life-changing, like, once this is completed, yes, this is what you're going to be known for, but you still got to make sure he gets to that point, and it's going to change the world. So obviously it is something with whatever it may be, and there's plenty of theories out there that they need this to be done by Mark and by any means necessary because it's that important. So it just, I guess, reaffirms just what they're doing on the severed floor and the implications, the outside world implications that it has.
Right, yeah, and the breadcrumbs they give us, that Gemma's ashes aren't hers, that Lumen has connections with the morgue, and also that opening scene of the scalpel. It felt like a morgue, and then when she pulls it out, you see all the tools that used for surgery, for opening people up, putting people back together, and then the tune that he's humming is it signifies doom. I forget exactly what it means and what's the story behind it, but just it's not good. So just that it's, you know, people, we've made this point, people keep making this point, but the more they give us, it feels like the bigger picture gets even more muddy because you're given these puzzle pieces and you're not exactly sure how they all fit, but it just all signifies something terrible or something inhumane, something very, very unethical, just based on all the secrets. So yeah, the more I talk about this episode, I'm like, man, this is kind of getting me going.
Yeah, it's hard to compare. Well, not hard to compare, but when these big things happen in the past 2 episodes, even like their step backs, it still furthers the story and adds more intrigue and gives more theories. So it's the perfect kind of bridge to the second half of the season.
Yeah, and it's a fun idea that Mark his innie is becoming more like his outie, because that felt like Mark Scout the entire episode, just being very cold towards his colleagues, not really wanting to acknowledge the so-called death of Irving. It's very similar to how Mark Scout acts in the real world. So for the innies, I think that was a totally different side of Mark that they haven't yet seen. And then even going to the conversation he has with Helena or Heli, asking her, you know, how was my outie? And Mark's like, man, you know, she was kind of just like you. So they're blurring the lines here between the outies and the innies, that at the end of the day, they are the same person. And those personality traits, they're going to manifest regardless of whether you're inside of Lumen or outside. That when you know, it's Mark lost his wife and he shut himself off from the world. Mark loses Irving and he does a similar thing. And there's also the idea of the way he was manipulated, that there's not going to be that same trust anymore between him and Heli after they spent all season 1 building to the point of working together, because it was very difficult then too. Now that's been broken. So that conversation between the two of them, dude, I got emotional. I almost wanted to, you know, it hurts to see Heli, have to, or it hurts to watch Heli be told by Mark that he no longer trusts her, because that was the bedrock of their relationship.
Yeah, but it seems towards the end, he kind of realized that he was being a little baby.
Yeah, he really does. He's really good at acting like a little bitch.
Yeah. That funeral, by the way, when I die, I want a watermelon head.
Yo, that would be fucking fire, bro. I would eat the shit out of your watermelon head. Dude, I thought it was so fucking funny when Dylan's giving his obituary and it shows the quarters in which Irving was alive instead of like the years. To me, that was such a funny bit. And the obituary, it very much in the fashion that Dylan would deliver it, where it is touching. He's memorializing a friend, but still keeping that same humor that we know and love him for.
He put the dick in contradiction.
But yeah, Dylan, he left hang in there, referencing the poster. So Dylan was able to figure that out and find the picture and the note Irving has left. So Irving may be dead, but his ideas are still there.
Dude, he's literally an any martyr. That's pretty cool. And it's cool that it was the guy who was so committed to the work. He really appreciated what he was doing, and he knew all the history, and he loved Lumen. So when that guy breaks, it's really inspiring for the other characters. But that, yeah, the little map of where the elevator is, the message there, I mean, that felt like a subliminal message in episode 4 when he says, hang in there.
Just remember, hang in there.
So, but I don't know if I missed it, but somebody said there was a reference to the Malice in the Palace in that room. So I know Ben Stiller's a big basketball fan, so wouldn't be surprised. Who's the Ron Artest in this show? Who's going to snap?
It'll be funny if like part of the outside lore is like the Knicks won 20 straight championships.
Just because Ben Stiller loves the Knicks. Bro, he really only tweets about Severance and the Knicks. It's like the perfect example of he's just like me, for real. We need to get this man on the pod.
Karl Anthony Towns is a big fan too, so maybe we'll get him.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah. God, I love the unity here.
But speaking of Irving, that was an interesting line he dropped in the phone booth.
Who the fuck is he talking to?
Who's he talking to? And like he knows his innie was on a mission, but how does he know that? It makes me obviously we talked about how in his sleep he was able to see the paint. So Irving maybe found out that's a way to get messages across, or maybe he has like an inside on someone on the inside at Lumen to let him know everything that's been going on with his innie. So he's in the know more than we've been let on to.
Is there a chance it's Cobell?
What is she up to?
Yeah, I miss her. Yeah, I don't know, but I've seen theories that Irvin's been communicating with himself through his watch, but I would have to go and reread that theory and look for the visual evidence, because I feel like this show does that a lot, where they drop these visual clues as to what's really happening. No, that remains one of the most intriguing aspects of this season so far is Irving's past. And how much his Audi actually knows, and how he's able to know so much. And I think even if he was talking to Ragabi, who's now living with Mark, it seems too obvious. I don't think they would keep it so much in the dark. I think you would see Ragabi on the other side of that call if it was her. So that opens up the idea of it's not only her that's working against Lumen, but it could be other individuals out there, or maybe even a group. Maybe even like a pseudo resistance.
Right.
Because it feels very like underground, you have to talk in the phone booth so nobody's tapping the lines type of shit. It feels very, very low key, very secretive.
And yeah, Bert pulls up, and even though they don't know each other, it still seemed like maybe some of that chemistry seeped through a little bit.
Oh, Bert was flirting hard, dude.
Everybody's just like, hey, bro.
Yo, chill. That's my innie. I don't like you like that. You're not cute out here. That would be crazy. He's like, yo, like inside of Lumen, you're a 10. In the real world, I'm still sexy. You're not. I mean, Christopher Walken is, I don't know, he almost feels underrated. I know he's an icon and everybody knows him, but even in a small scene like that, his delivery, he just nails it every time. And it reminded me a lot of their interactions that they had as innies, where Bert was more of the instigator, and there was a timidness, a shyness that speaks to Irving's feelings for Bert, but still not ready to take that leap. And it's the similar idea of trust. I think when you're inside and you have all eyes on you, it's hard to trust another person that you guys are going to be able to get away with this, because they don't. And in Irving's eyes, it leads to Bert's death. So even on the outside, because the stakes are so high, and still Bert and his husband, the fact that they're emphasizing his husband and even giving him a name, maybe he's got a bigger role in all this too. So you just don't know what any of these characters are truly up to.
Right. And we learned that Bert was fired for his relationship with Irving.
Right. Yeah, they straight up found out.
So they
barely made it to second, even first base. Come on.
But yeah, I mean, just goes to, Lumen was definitely watching, and the importance of what they felt Irving could do versus Bert, because, it wasn't a one-way street. Bert gets fired, but Irving stays. So it'll be interesting to see. That's going to be a fun dinner party. Maybe a little awkward too, because I feel like Bert and Irving are going to be giving each other eyes while Fields is just sitting there.
Yeah, it's always one of my favorite scenes when you have the love triangle one character's in the dark, because you know those eyes, they're going to be eye fucking the entire dinner. And then maybe Fields is a little bit of a freak, you know? I can get down. They all just live happily ever after. But even a tough episode for Heli when, in the inside, she's getting the cold shoulder from Mark and, having to experience the funeral of Irving, the bereavement kit. That's so funny when Milchick told Miss Wong to set it up. But and then on the outside being told you have to go back in there. So she's someone who's totally not in control of her life in this moment, which is something that, she fought against so much in season 1. But I want to comment on Miss Wong. What the fuck is going on with Miss Wong? When they're setting up the bereavement kit and she says you shouldn't let them have a funeral because it makes them feel like people.
Yeah.
What? So she's not only okay, she's not a kid. Mentally, she's not a kid. Who says that? What the hell? What are they doing to this? What is this person? She was looking evil, bro. She's like gradually getting more and more. I don't know, because if it looked like in episode 4 she was disappointed by the marshmallows, which fair, I think everybody would be disappointed by the waste.
I was.
But for her to say that to Milchick, and even Milchick looking at her like, okay.
Are you trying to take my job?
Yo, that's what it feels like, yeah.
That would be so funny if she ends up being the head of the severed floor.
They're just more impressed by her.
It's like the rule of 2 for the dark side.
Yeah, that's funny, dude. Yeah, she's going to have to kill Milchick. Do it. Strike me down in your anger. Yo, Milchick as Palpatine would be hard as fuck. You see Milchick got cast in Mission Impossible 8?
Yeah, I did.
That's big time, bro. Come on, Mr. Milchick versus Ethan Hunt. Those motherfuckers both be running.
Yeah, they should just race.
Yeah. It's 40-meter dash. Let's go.
You just pulled up the Inglourious Bastards meme. You put up the wrong 3. 40-yard dash, buddy.
Oh.
Meters. Get that meter shit out of here.
I know, bro. I need to get out of my Eurocentric bubble.
Milchick just runs a 4.3 and it's like, I'm just going to go to the NFL. This shit sucks.
Let's see. Yeah, and going back to the scene between Ricken and Devin. Once again, short scene. A lot of people out there think Ricken could be evil on the low. But I think here he's just being a bit naive. And you made the point, I think it was episode 3 review, that if you tell Ricken what he wants to hear, he's going to like you. And if you flood him with a lot of money, even though he's got these ideals, he could be a bit hypocritical. And I think that's natural for any person. So he's got this idea that he can sort of hide the deeper meaning within this propaganda. But that may be very difficult because as we've learned, Lumen is very good at not letting messages get inside of the severed floor. So I think even with hiding it through subtext and subtlety in your writing might not work. And like I said, he could just be being naive here. And it's the first time I think that, there's always been like, Ricken's kind of annoying and Devin shrugs him off, but it's never been serious. This felt like the first time there was true tension between the two of them.
Yeah, it's something where Ricken, I think we've seen he tries to come off as this enlightened, smart, like true writer, but he's very much insecure in a lot of ways. And when he gets that approval, when he finds out the Innies used his work as a inspiration and now Lumen coming to him, I think it just all goes to his head. Where, yes, he might think, I could sneak some messages in and continue to help this revolution. But also he's like, well, millions of books throughout the world of all these Lumen offices. This could just be a financial and jumping off point for my career.
Yeah. And, for a side character, I think to be so important to the show is it's a credit to the writing that his impact, even though he's Mark's sister's husband, is something that really changes the narrative and changes the perspective of these characters. So if he is someone who so-called goes to the dark side, in a way, it's like you're losing an ally for the Innies. If he's someone who's corrupted, and there may be sort of like a swapping of team members where Ricken is corrupted, but maybe Milchick becomes more enlightened. And Devin is just she's such a trooper. So anytime somebody upsets Devin, it makes me angry.
Yeah, but New York Times best-selling author Ricken it's got a nice ring to it. So
even you're buying in on it. New York Times, feels like everybody gets on that. Anybody writes a book, they're like, I'm a New York Times bestseller, because nobody buys books. It's like if 5 people buy your book, all of a sudden you're fucking Herman Melville. But yeah, I think we should end this just touching more on this idea of reintegration not happening all at once, because we get that final scene where he sees Gemma alive, and it's a great final shot to end the episode on. Very, for Mark, it's extremely startling. You think this person's dead, you've been told she's alive, you still haven't seen actual proof, but now you're seeing it. You're getting those memories of Mark's innies seeping out to his Audi. When that first happened, the reintegration, we were all like, wow, they're really going for it. And now they're like, slow your roll there a little bit. It's not going to be easy as 1, 2, 3. All your memories are in sync now. So that to me was, unexpected, but it makes it fun, this race against the clock. Who's going to finish first, the reintegration or Cold Harbor? Yeah,
it seems like more and more. Maybe next episode we'll have a more concrete showing of Mark and Mark-S kind of combining. But yeah, it is interesting. Maybe it's one of the processes that have been, or part of the process that's been changed. Maybe with PD, that's what one of the things that kind of caused him to break was too much all at once, or trying to do it as quickly as possible. Where with Mark, if it's a more drawn out approach, little by little, just so he doesn't have a complete breakdown immediately.
Yeah, and I can really see them going the route of step by step, you need to become integrated. And he realizes they don't have enough time. He decides to skip a few steps. And what's going to be the physical and mental toll of not taking it or not listening to Rigabi and going full throttle into being reintegrated because maybe time is up. Maybe he gets a glimpse of what they're doing in the inside, and he realizes, I have to speed this up or else I'm not going to be able to save my wife. So I think that's definitely something that they're going to play with.
Yeah, for sure. And it just makes the week fun, reading up on all the theories and just trying to predict what's going to happen next, only to be wrong, but in the best way.
You know that feeling you get, the butterflies when you're anticipating the release of a show week to week? It's back, dude. It makes me nervous when I start it up,
Yeah, and shout out to the intros or the credits in the beginning. I think it might be because they definitely drop some hints in there, and it's just a fun visual experience where I feel like it's not the same thing every week, and just the artistic approach and effort they put into it is truly remarkable. Definitely don't skip the credits.
Yeah, I totally skipped the credits. I was so excited to get into the episode. I was like, in my head, I don't really fuck with this theme. Like you said, they do such a great job with the animation, but I was like, I don't fuck with this theme. I need to get into this episode. Was there any weird stuff?
There's a lot of balloon heads.
Oh, motherfuckers are getting popped.
Whatever that means.
Mr. Balloon hands. All right, guys, that's where we're going to end this review of Severance Season 3, Episode 5, Trojan's Horse. Next episode, Attila. Should be a good one, man. It looks like they're really ramping up to what's going to be an incredible finish for Season 2. Or, I very much hope so. But, Aaron, as always, thank you for joining me. Now we get to go back into the outside world, but it's always nice to catch up with your innie.
Yeah, I just can't wait to forget everything.
Yeah, that would be kind of nice. I've kind of done that on my own. I upload these videos and I'm like, that's not me.
Who is this person recording?
That's Beau. Remember Beau?
Nope.
It's good stuff.